PDGA cracks down with their latest disciplinary actions list with some surprising names. More questions arise from Dynamic Disc after Anthony comes clean with their latest layoff cuts. The season wraps up with another reiteration of the Tour Championship, and so much more this week in disc golf. What's going on, all you disc generates? It's me, Swiss Cheese, the one with all the holes in his game, and I'm one half of the disc golf world, a nephew and uncle duo YouTube channel that gives you all your disc golf news from the tour. You're watching This Week in Disc Golf, where I cover all things disc golf from the past week. After a grueling 4 days of daily recaps of the USDGC, it's time to circle back to some of the hot topics that were skipped over that coverage. And if you haven't yet, go back and watch each of those videos, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button if you're not already. We're closing in on 25,000 subscribers. Not too shabby for a couple of wise guy goofballs that hasn't even been doing this style of content for 2 years yet. Quick thank you to all those on the Patreon page and allowing us to tour along the pros. Let's dive into the PDGA Disciplinary List, where the community got some closure on J-Ray and the whole Bud Hill fiasco. More shocking for most was the inclusion of touring pros Johnny Mccrae and Eric Oakley. J-Ray, the disgraced TD who used the Bud Hill's $30,000 tournament funds to finance his personal business ventures, was what most in the community were waiting to hear on, as this case was far more polarizing than it ever should be. The PDGA issued a Class B violation with a 12-month suspension, and an additional 12-month probation on top of that. The punishment does seem awfully lenient when compared to other past suspensions issued, and whose actions affected over 100 PDGA members. Add that this black eye on the sport was far more visible with the game's modern coverage, unlike past issues. To most shock, though, was the additional disciplinary action of Mccrae and Oakley, as those were far less in the public eye. Both received Class C disciplinary actions and a 12-month probation for courtesy violations. Mccrae's actions was related to his crash out between him and Barry Schultz at the Masters World Championship during their playoff. When these two should really be comparing who was better between Captain Kangaroo and HR Pufnstuf, instead was arguing over a foot fault call issued by Johnny. Man, that Masters League is as cutthroat as the elbow room at a Golden Corral. To further exasperate the issue with it being a playoff, there was no one there to second the call, despite a PDGA official filming at the time, which they were unable to weigh in as they played the event. As for the marshal, they were off to the side of the action and didn't witness the foot fault either. Embarrassing enough for a world championship. Johnny would simply not let it go and debated the issue for over 10 minutes, saying he would simply walk off despite only needing a clean-up shot for a victory. Barry said the call was made during his swing, causing Johnny to claim he was not a cheat.
He turned it over. Where's Rebecca? Johnny's called a foot fault.
Nope. You were to the right of it. Oh, you were to the right of it. You saw it. You saw it.
I'm not an official. I'm a player. Sweet.
Is that where my foot was? You are an official. You're on the board of directors. If it doesn't stick, that's kind of bad in my personal life, but it's okay.
Wow.
No, I was not.
I heard football.
No.
Barry's saying that he was foot fault.
I'm not a cheater either, dude. I am not a cheater. You guys are going to just let him get away with it? I'm leaving. How's that? How's that? No, I mean, you're going to let him get away with it? I'm leaving. How's that? That's the story.
While the Oakley suspension was the complete opposite, with no video evidence and a statement issued by him that contradicted what the PDGA's ruling was. He claims to have only officially been called for a violation made by himself and had not yet received any further calls on the season. He would go even further, saying that he would appeal the ruling. It's been well documented that Oakley has had prior blow-ups on the course in his career, but has made some conscious efforts to improve those. And for most reading the statement, getting disciplinary action for uncalled violation makes about as much sense as throw pink not being a major. I can honestly say we have not witnessed any uncalled behavior from Eric Oakley while on tour. That being said, we did have a couple of pros search us out on the course and said that he has been called for courtesy violation on the season. That and even more whispers that this incident stemmed from Maine State's championship and A-tier during an off week. Community got some insight into the dynamic disc layoffs with Anthony of Disc Golf Weekly, longtime content creator and media employee for nearly 8 years with Dynamic. Some of you may have even grown with the sport on his early content, as Dynamic was one of the largest in the market in the past. In the video, Anthony created an emotional 30-minute video discussing his layoff. Despite being told he was part of the company's future and what he said was a fight by leadership to retain him, he was still one of the 7 people to be laid off due to financial concerns. Keep in mind, this comes shortly after House of Disc's CEO restructure and also the company's product entrance into Walmart's retail space, giving a very conflicting storyline. Add rumors for much of this season surrounding Ricky Wysocki possibly being released from his contract, and Foundation just recently reporting Matty O expressing similar concerns on the course at this year's USDGC. We gotta remember, Orem just signed a 4-year deal this last offseason. For him to be concerned about his future should be as big of a red flag as someone giving you form advice at leagues. Matty praised that contract as giving him the flexibility to tour, and most importantly, the ability to buy a home, something he hadn't experienced in his lengthy career. Factoring this latest news and it possibly foreshadowing an even worse offseason than what is already forecasted to be turbulent, which has been downplayed by others, but with these early dominoes dropping already, who knows what to expect? Keep in mind, 60% of the field at this year's Tour Championship is up for a contract this offseason, higher than the year prior. Add the fact that the Tour Championship having a lower payout this season for the first time since its formation brings even additional concerns. I'm certainly not predicting a collapse here, but these are all precursors to what is expected in the disc golf market. And while we're on the Tour Championship, the event kicked off this Thursday, with it yet another reiteration and change to the format, shifting to a 4-day stroke play with stroke advantages given to the ranking of the top players, eliminating the bracket style that has been commonplace for a couple of years now and provided some of the sport's best moments, with upset victories by Missy Gannon and Nathan Queen. No one is arguing that advantages should be given to point leaders. I like the concepts of pros being able to play the full 4-day event. The continual coverage still remaining focused on primarily just the lead card and chase cards, plus the format too wildly separating the lower rated players from those on the top, provides little to no coverage for the other 20 to 30 pros playing. Yes, those players still receive a payday and often their highest on the season, but this is a goal and achievement that players attain, and not allowing them the opportunity to showcase their talents, most importantly, a chance to grow their fan base, is a disservice to, the people needed for your pro tour. Again, 60% of this field will be fighting tooth and nail for a contract this offseason and are currently at a 4-day event, showcasing that only the top pros in the game are invited to, yet simply put, will not be shown in highlights, player profiles, coverage, or intros. The prior format at least gave them a day of coverage. And listen, with how the community has responded to this new format, most seem disinterested, critical, and apathetic for the results, despite it being touted as the tour's premier event. And though we have heard of the USDGC hangover and Nevin's close proximity being the issue, we'll just have to wait and see over the next 3 days, and next year for that matter. Now, let's get to some quick hitters. Gannon might be great at disc golf, but he sure is ass at Topgolf. KJ, of course, hits the 1s and 2s while at USDGC. Paige Pierce enjoys some crepes, the really thin pancakes. Ezra and Isaac grab some tacos. Tim Barham shreds. Kohler Dolan's out there autographing faces in a blue onesie. Not sure which is more unbelievable. Cal Lundquist is already grinding, and Kat Merch shows off her drawing skills. And guys, that wraps up this week in disc golf. If you've enjoyed and not subscribed, make sure to do so. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, comment, and share. And if you are worried about vids during the off season, trust me, we got you covered and have plenty in the works.